All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Designing the New Dragons. Join us as we create what may become your new favorite character. Again, I think I should just like make a blanket apology right now, because every one of these videos goes, "Hey, sorry, it's been a little bit. It's only been a week this time, but my brain doesn't like me." But getting back into this, we're gonna get this done. We're gonna get one more done, and then we're gonna do the crossover ones. And then I already know what the next Discovering New Dragons is gonna be. It's gonna be super cool. I'm super excited about it. Y'all should be super excited about it. But first, we need to make some GI Joes. So let's dive into that right now. So again, we're going to be following the steps laid out in the GI Joe role-playing game book. Except for the fact that it says start by set starting essences, and I always do those last, so we're going to go to influences. So last time we chose green shirt just because I'm like, what in the heck is green shirt? And then I just got I got fixated on it. So this time we're going to not choose green shirt. And I think what I'm going to do, let me just see. All right, so there's 12, as far as I can tell, there's 12 here. So I'm going to just let fate decide. I'm going to roll a d12 twice to get our two influences. First one rolled a 5. So alphabetically, the fifth one is Gearhead. So let's switch over to this one. Hey, that looks familiar. So influence, we're going to go Gearhead is one of them. And then the second one is going to be Artisan. Interesting. A Gearhead Artisan. Let's see how that goes. All right, so Artisan art styles. So you have acting, architecture, cinematography, dance, drawing, literature, singing, sculpture, poetry, photography, painting, and music. We will come back to Artisan in a second. I want to look at what Gearhead does. So Gearhead. Oh, I was looking at the wrong one. I'm like, this is... You're not always G.I. Joe, and in your past you've done things you aren't proud of. What does that have to do with being a Gearhead? Oh, it's the other page. Learning how to put machines and software together and take them apart. Might have been any kind of engineer, a hacker, a programmer, a watchmaker, a repair expert, a mechanic, a machinist, or something similar. Okay, so Gearhead, exactly as I thought. Gearhead built on the idea of being very kind of mechanically focused. And the perk for this, you're at home with software and hardware machines and quickly find you get an edge on social skill tests when talking about technology with others or when helping others work on them. Interesting. And then, so for Artisan, if we're going to have a Gearhead, I think there's a couple different things that would fit really well with someone that's super technical and is also kind of artistic. The first one I thought of is the idea of a sculptor. Thank you, phone. The idea of us as a sculptor. Specifically the idea of someone that does like metalworking sculptures and things like that. Because you can use a lot of gears and other stuff like that to create sculptures and that. And they actually turn out pretty interesting, depending on the artist, obviously. So that could be one. Due to the fact that I have an extensive background in music, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm a classically trained vocalist. I was a professional jazz singer for almost 2 years. And it's not nearly as glamorous as it sounds. In those 2 years, the band I belonged to, I think, had maybe half a dozen gigs. And we got paid for like two of them. We might have had a few more than half a dozen, but we didn't get very far, and then I had to drop out for other reasons. But I got paid to be a jazz singer, so I count it. And then I'm also an instrumentalist. I played saxophone for, I think, 15 years. I mean, I technically still can play it. I just haven't done it in close to a decade. And I'm also a composer and have training in music theory and composition and all those other things. So I know a lot about music. And something that a lot of people don't, I guess it's not as common now. When I was in high school, and especially when I was in middle school, a lot of people didn't realize that like math geeks and music geeks are almost one and the same. There is a lot of mathematics that goes into music. And the thought processes, especially when you start getting into improvisational music like jazz, there's a bunch of different ways to learn how to improvise and the things like that. And one of the techniques that I was taught was very mathematical, where you literally take the chord progression that you're looking at, you actually write out, to explain. Chord progression is basically every song is built up of different chords that go along. A really, really simple version of a chord progression is called a 12-bar blues, which starts off with the one chord for 4 measures, and then the 4 chord for 2 measures, then back to the 1 chord for 2 measures, then 5 chord, 4 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord. And so if you wanted to figure out what notes you could play while improvising, what you would do is you would write out the notes in the 1 chord, you'd write out the notes in the 4 chord, and you'd write out the notes in the 5 chord, and then you would actually look to see which notes were contained within all those chords. And in general, with the exception of a few kind of really weird songs, or songs that transition into a completely different key and chord structure somewhere in the middle, you generally could find a pentatonic scale that would fit pretty well with everything in there. So as long as a pentatonic scale is a set of 5 notes. So as long as you played those 5 notes, you would never sound like you were playing the wrong note. Now, jazz gets a little bit more confusing because there technically aren't any right or wrong notes, and hitting a note that's outside of the chord structure is actually essential to creating dissonance, which you resolve into harmony, and all these other things. Like, it's remarkably more complicated than that. But there is a very kind of methodical aspect to composing and creating music in general that I think you could definitely see kind of a combination gearhead and I'm gonna go as far as saying, instead of just singing, because here's another fun fact, singing doesn't technically require a massive amount of knowledge of music theory at all. I actually the band that I was in, the female vocalist and the head of the band doesn't read music, and she was a professional singer for like 20 years. Never learned to read music. Doesn't know how to read chords, anything like that. Doesn't understand a lick of music the theory. And if you put a score in front of her, or even just a lead sheet, she'd be completely lost. She has to learn all of her parts by ear, by having someone play them for her or listening to the song somewhere. Doesn't mean that she wasn't a very, very talented singer, and I believe she is still singing. But it's just not something that is necessarily required to be a singer or a vocalist. Famously, I believe Taylor Swift, it's not that she can't read music. She actively refuses to learn it because she doesn't like how mechanical it makes music feel. So she doesn't actively go out and learn music theory, and I'm assuming that means that she doesn't actually write down her her arrangements or anything on like a music staff or anything. I would assume she has to write them down somewhere. But yeah, and again, it's not that she doesn't know like this is a G chord and this is a E flat minor 7, and it's not that she doesn't know that. She just doesn't like actual written music. So what I think we're going to do is for the artisan, we're going to make we're going to make them a composer that does a lot of kind of electronic music composition. Not so much the idea of electronic music, kind of like club stuff and all that. No, I mean someone that uses computers to compose a lot of different kinds of music. Something akin to like Kevin MacLeod. I believe is a multi-instrumentalist. Fun fact, I actually I found out Kevin MacLeod is a friend of a friend, but because he's from Wisconsin, and I've got a buddy that actually used to improvise with him. They were both in the same improv group, and Kevin MacLeod would like play music for the improv. And anyway, so I am 1 degree separated from Kevin MacLeod, guys. Yeah, in Comtech. Kevin, if you're watching this, you need to make better decisions about how you waste your time, because there's better things you could be watching. But anyway, so yeah, I think I like the idea of, so we're going to go artisan is going to be composer, and gearhead is going to be, let's see, do they actually give me specific? No, it doesn't really. You're just gearhead, so we're just going to call gearhead artisan, and we're going to boot. I think I'm just going to push enter so it goes. So gearhead artisan is what we're going to do for there. And so for the 2 hangups that we'll deal with the perks because we get both of those. We have to figure out which hangup we want. So hangup: you're fascinated with new technology, and when faced with it, you find it difficult to focus on anything else until you understand how it works. When dealing with new technology, you suffer a snag on all rolls until you gain at least a basic understanding of how it works, usually a turn or more. So you have that, or artisan. The hang-up is you sometimes get absorbed by your work and miss what's going on around you. You suffer a snag on smarts and social skill tests unrelated to your art while you're actively involved in your art. I think I kind of like that hang-up because I have that hang-up. It annoys the hell out of people. Back when I could go outside, one of the things that used to annoy a lot of people is when we would walk into a store, I would immediately hear whatever was playing, and a lot of times I would comment on it, and the rest of my friends would go, "What? The music that's playing," and they'd have to sit there and go, "Oh yeah, there's music playing, isn't there?" And I can't ignore it. And whenever I hear music, because of my music theory training, I'm chopping it up into tiny little bits and going, okay, well, that's a really interesting here, and this is this, and this is this. Like, my brain just automatically does that. So I like that. So that's the hang-up we're going to use. Okay, so let's go. Copy. Just do that. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. I don't know why it's social S-kill. It's apparently like geared for an additional space in there. That's interesting. So my perks. So for artisan, gain an edge on social and smart tests when your art style applies. Boom. And again, because I do these so far apart from each other, I always forget where I put the the stuff. So I guess I'll just put it here. Perks, you know. It applies, and then let's go Gearhead, and then edge on. Okay, dupe. Okay, cool. Edge on social and smarts skill test when your art style applies. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I was going to try and put something in composing, but it would require more words, and I want less words. All right, so super easy. Those are our influences. Moving on. Next up, choose our origin. So, now we've chosen our origin. Again, this is where we got kind of trippy last time because the origins, I thought there was only like 4 origins because they had Army, Navy, and then Air Force. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to? But they have a lot more than that. We have first responder, covert ops, intelligence, then non-military could be civilian, engineer, scientist. So we haven't quite figured out why this particular character is a Joe yet. All we know is that they're really good with tech and composing. And so part of me is thinking, I could either go scientist or engineer. Specifically because, you know, the idea of this person is a composer and they're really, really good with just music and stuff in general. And maybe the reason that they were brought into the Joes is they needed someone that was kind of a sonic specialist. And this particular Joe learned how to kind of weaponize his music and things like that. And so engineer is like building stuff. Scientist is kind of discovering stuff. I think we're going to go with scientist for the origin. Because I like that. I kind of like this idea of scientist. Someone that was so good at music and understanding how kind of sounds work together that they could weaponize it. I think that's very cool. So yeah, we're going to call him a scientist for the origin. And that's going to give us an increase for our smarts by 1. And then I get culture, science, or technology. I think we don't need science there. So yeah, I think for whatever reason this PDF is just saved with that in there, so I have to remember to take that off. So you go technology. And then starting play, you begin with 1 health. Boom. And then 30 feet. And then, of course, we have to pick languages. So English and Serbo, Croatian, in honor of my buddy DK. All of these characters are going to just have Serbo-Croatian as their language. I'm going to re-emphasize this. Serbo-Croatian is not a language. Serbo-Croatian refers to things that come from either the country of Serbia or the country of Croatia. And the reason it's so funny, it involves... watch the last one. I explained it all there, but that's why there's Serbo-Croatian there. DK, if you watch this, okay, we're done. So yeah, that's all we need. This is going much faster than the last one, mostly because I don't have to look up everything. Moving on. I believe the next thing that we do is we choose our role. So again, before, the roles we have: Commando, Infantry, Officer, Ranger, Renegade, Technician, Vanguard. And the last time we did a Technician, and we turned them into, what was it again? A think tank. We turned them into a think tank with armor and everything, which was cool. But we got to do something different. So we could go with an officer. So the idea, so officers in general, they're going to kind of, for lack of a better term, they're going to kind of be like a bard or a warlord style character. And they're going to kind of boost stuff. So yeah, like here, battle commander, you give tactical advantage to Battle Joe. At first levels during Yojo battle cry, you may give an edge to one ally for their first attack. And then as a move action, you can grant an ally within line of sight an upshift on a skill test on their next turn. And then rouse, first level standard action, you may attempt a persuasion skill test to add a story point to the team's story point. So the commander, or the officer, is quite literally someone that is kind of put in command, and they kind of direct things. Which again, for someone that's very mechanically minded, that kind of makes sense. And this is something that I do quite often in D&D, and to be perfectly honest, in most of the RPGs that I run, is the officer here is literally that. Is an actual officer, someone with command stripes or something like that is put in control of other people. They are the person at the top. So if we were going strictly by what the quote-unquote lore is here, this is someone that has to be in a leadership position. And while, yes, you can have, like, composers can kind of be leaders, that's not really how I envision this character. So if I do go the officer route, more likely than not, I would use the mechanics, but I would basically kind of reflavor them to, instead of being the person in command, I'm more of the person that's supporting. And that might help with when we choose our focus. So the two focuses, or foci, whatever they are, for officer: a battlefield psychologist and frontline leader. And then as a standard action, you can remove conditions from your allies who can see or hear you with a successful persuasion skill test. Okay, so that again kind of keeps us in that kind of buffing role. Our frontline leader gives us speed. Actually, if one team is ahead of you on the battlefield at the beginning of your turn, you can sprint as a free action. So I don't think that would make too much sense for this particular character. So I'm thinking Battlefield Psychologist might be what we're going for, because it would... Oh, and there's one other one. There's Grandmaster. That is the Grandmaster. The battlefield is the Grandmaster's chessboard, and the soldiers are the game pieces. I think I might like this. So, Knight's Jump, Speed Essence increased by 1. Additionally, once per turn as a move action, you can choose 2 allies to swap places in the initiative order. This can result in one of your allies gaining an additional turn. Oh, that's very interesting. So Grandmaster, again, could be cool, but that, again, feels a little bit more like the shot caller leader that I'm not kind of into. So we'll put a pin in that. I want to look... There's one called the Renegade. Let's see what they do. Equipment, blah, blah, blah. Yojo, focus, blitzer, door kicker, tank. I'm not thinking renegade. They're more like a barbarian kind of thing. I think I like the idea of an officer. So yeah, we're going to be an officer. We are going... Really? Come on. Officer. There we go. Level 1 und our focus is battlefield psychologist. So I can fix all the people while they're in the battle. Ooh, very good, yeah? So yeah, so we start with our officer. Starting role perks, benefits of command. Let's take this. Let's start filling in some perks. So this is, and again, I would probably reflavor all of these. There we go. Training, I get social essence by 1 and smart essence by 1. So let's get those in real quick. So smarts goes up to 2. Social goes up to 1. And then for role skills, I get persuasion, alertness, and culture. So I think for smarts, I'm going to go for alertness. Choose 1 rank and 2 skills from the following: persuasion, alertness, and culture. So since culture is... Wow. That's interesting. So since culture is a smart, I can't take both culture and alertness, so I have to go persuasion, which I'm fine with. Music is very persuasive. And then... Battle dress and weapons. Trading qualifications. Boom. Yeah, we're good there. So, yeah. Alright, and then Yojo. I get a bonus to health from being Yojo, so it brings us up to 2. Standard equipment qualifications, qualified with all standard, and battle cry, we don't need that. Focus, we'll do that in a second. So let's go back down here to get the rest of this stuff. So, battle commander. Okay. We do that. And then next one is plan of action. Cool, so there we've got plan of action done. And then the last one is rouse. R-O-U-S-E. And rouse. Just gives us a way to get story points. Okay, and then for, we'll go PsyOps. And then as a standard action, boom, 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 boom. Cool. All right, so that is, and then for PsyOps, I also increased my social essence by 1. So it brings that up to 2. And then social, deception, intimidation, or persuasion. What? Performance, streetwise, persuasion, deception, animal handling. Oh yeah, intimidation. That doesn't make any sense. You treat intimidate as a social skill. Oh, that makes sense. because intimidation is a strength skill normally. I think I'm still going to go with persuasion just to give very good persuasive musician. So you guys can see it there. So yeah, that is our roll. Moving on. All right. Let's go to our essence scores and skills. So again, the way this works, you have 12 more points that you can put wherever you want. I think we're going to go 3. You have to have at least 1 in each. So that's 4. I've got 8 more. And I think I like the idea of just kind of heavy loading this. I believe I've done something wrong. Yeah, I did math wrong. It should be 6s, not 8s. Don't know where I got 8 from. So, 1 strength. I like to have 3 speed because that gives you a move, an action, and then a free action. And anything lower than that, you don't get any free actions during your turn because free actions aren't free. So I think that's where I'm going to do it. And then for this particular person, I think I'm going to go conditioning just to give them a little bit better health. Make them live long enough to actually see the end. Stop it. For speed, I like the idea of them being good at driving. Targeting is probably going to be very useful, and then initiative for that. For smarts, all right. I want some more technology. I'm going to put 2 into culture. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 1 more. I think I want to see for culture, what are their sample specializations? Smart, culture, classified intel, history, linguistics, psychology. Psychology and music go kind of go hand in hand. Linguistics is another one I think kind of works, especially if you're writing. I think I want psychology. Psychology. I think this is the first time I haven't tried to get a specialization that I can actually use on attack rolls. So that's my 6 things there. And then for social, I've already got 2 in persuasion. I think it would make sense to have some streetwise. And then we have to have performance. Because I'm a musician. In fact, I'm gonna put 6 into performance. And I think I'm actually going to get rid of streetwise, and I'm going to actually take another specialization in performance. And what do I want? Because we're a composer. I think improvisation. That is a very specific type of performance. And again, my background in jazz, learning how to improvise, I learned how to improvise at the same time I was learning composition from 2 different teachers. I was learning composition, taking a music technology course. Thank you, phone. And let me take care of this real quick. Okay, we're done with that. So music technology course. I'm going to just keep saying that over and over and over again. And then I was learning jazz improvisation, literally 8th period every day. I would go down to the band room and I would spend an hour just playing jazz music. And every so often the jazz instructor would come in and give us some little tips in that. But that's how I learned how to improvise. And so improvisation is a very, very useful skill. And as I got to learn composition better, I started understanding my improvisation better. And as I learned to improv better, I started learning more things I could use for composition. And so I think they go hand in hand. So that's what we'll call for that. So yeah, that's our essence, scores, and skills. Moving on. I'm almost out of water. As I have mentioned many times before, equipment is a big part of the Essence 20 system because depending on what you are using, it will massively change how you play your character. And G.I. Joe goes super hardcore into equipment in general and has the most different modifications for equipment in the entire the thing. So I'm trained in light and medium armor, and then I'm trained in ballistic weapons and explosives. So standard issue for gear. Standard issue is going to be close combat weapon. Sidearm. Rifle. And then 2 grenades. So that's my kind of standard issues. This is stuff, and we can modify these as much as we want. And I think what I want to do, I do want some sort of battle dress. I need to change how this displays. There we go. So now I can see everything. Weapon upgrades. We'll deal with the weapon stuff in a second. But battle dress is what I want to play around with. So I can wear light or medium armor. So we can have tactical armor or ballistic armor for standard armor. Or if we go to limited, we have either the impulse armor or the momentum armor. And that has computerized cool stuff in it. And this will give us a higher evasion. So I think, well, let's look at the upgrades because I want to see what I can upgrade with it. So handling, there's community, I already have that. Silent would be useful. Acclimating if I go into limited. Dome generator, energy resistance. Reflexive, toughness. Terrifying. And then we go into the restricted stuff, which is energized, grasshopper braces, microtech battle dress. That could be cool. Microtech, it's restricted, but microtech would change like a heavy armor into a medium armor. So for this particular character, I want something Sonic based. And maybe I want to go with weapons instead of armor and just keep with the normal fatigues. Yeah, maybe we'll go that route because I'm not seeing too many things on this that are really kind of screaming to me, yes, I want that. So let's look at weapon upgrades real quick. Non-lethal, scary scope, silencer, sling. Waterproof, weatherproof, amphibious balance clip, blazing, corrosive tip. Actually, so rumbling is a melee weapon without an element, and that would gain the sonic trait. So we could change our close combat bludgeon into a kind of sonic bludgeon. I'm not really fond of that. Sorry, I'm looking for a specific thing. V generator. Sure, we go swift, dramatic. Alright, let's see what else we want to do here. So you could do a modular weapon. That would be able to just... one thing could do two different things, which would be kind of cool. Or we can just look at what already exists. Okay, so we already have standard. If we go to limited... projectile launcher, small, assault rifle, machine gun, element jet. So I think element, because it's a limited weapon, so we could easily get that. Could do directed element rifle. Because it requires technology, which we do have. It requires a D2 in technology. We have a D4. It does 1 laser damage. Which doesn't help us that much. I think we're going to go with an element jet. Add some cool stuff to this. So element jet, it's going to be sonic. And very quickly here. That does, I want to just very quickly. Okay, so sonic gravity is given alternate effects, but it targets willpower. Okay. So we can now, the element jet is like a flamethrower or thing like that. This is going to be sonic, and it does hit in a 15-foot cone. So this is a kind of multi-hit kind of thing, which I think is cool. And then I just wanted to look at what computerized. Which doesn't mean anything. So... yeah. So we're going to change the name of the element jet to... what are we going to call this? We're going to call this to... call this our... Ovation... no, come on, something good. Let's think. Let's think of a good name for this. I like alliteration, so I'm trying to come up with something kind of music or sound based that also I can put with like machine gun, like, or something else like that. I realize this is super engaging right now as I sit here just staring at nothing, trying to come up with a name for this. Call this the Damn, my brain is just dead right now, guys. I realize this is super, super boring, but I want something cool for this. So let's go Sonic. Oh, that's what we could do. We could call this the sound wave. Sound wave. Oh, I like that. So that's an elemental jet. Just go Sonic. So yeah, ha! Sound wave. I dig it. I dig it. Okay, so weapon. Sound wave. Right. Okay. So now we're finally getting somewhere. And again, to get this, it's a limited weapon, so it would require 1 requisition roll. You normally get 3, and I think it's a DC 10 requisition roll, technology requisition roll. So no problem. We should definitely be able to do that. So those are weapon upgrades. I want weapons. Limited. Elemental jet. So attack is targeting. Range is 15 feet. Hands is 2. Traits are let's go Sonic and reload. Effects is 1 Sonic damage. One Sonic blast. 15-foot cone. If I can still read that. Yeah, it's not too bad. Alternate effects. Down shift to target will. Okay. No upgrades, and then everything else is going to be the normal stuff. So we're going to give him a bludgeon. So we're going to just call this wrench. Reach. Hands 1. Traits. Blunt. Martial arts. Silent. Attack. Call it finesse because we have a higher speed. We're not trained in finesse, so none of them are going to be great. And effect is 1 blunt damage. Alternate effect is 1 stun. So downshift 1 to do downshift 1. I wish it would let me actually put the downshift in here, but this, for whatever reason, this file just doesn't like it. So that's our close combat bludgeon. Our pistol. I wanted to try and make the pistol also Sonic as well. But I couldn't find the upgrade I was looking for that would let me add belt. Laser sight, lead lined. Modular, scary scope, silencer, sling, waterproof, weatherproof, amphibious mouse good, blazing. Traits. Plate piercing, proximity log, radiant. Melee weapon, weapon with blaster area effect. Reload. Mounted trait. Blue Inquire Jank. So cryo is one. Electromagnetic. Ignition. Maiming. Modular. Quake. There we go. Quick Breaker. Weapon with a weapon with range measured in feet with an element trait other than sonic. Doesn't have an element trait other than sonic. Acid trait, electric trait, sonic trait. There we go. Banshee. That's prototypical. Screw that. Well, you know what? It's our character, so that's what we're going to do. So Soundwave. And then this is going to be the Whaler. Because it's going to be a pistol with the sonic trait. I'm just going to go Banshee. And it would be hard to get this at an initial requisition, but this is the magic character that I'm creating, and so that's what we're doing. So, range is 2580. Hands is 1. Traits is going to be ballistic and sonic. It's targeting. Does 1 sonic. And then we can just copy this because it's the exact... Really? The exact same thing there. And we have 1 upgrade on it. And then we have a rifle, which we're not going to do anything to. We're just going to leave it as a rifle because we've already messed with this stuff enough. 100, 400. Hands 2. Actually, I think Soundwave will actually replace our rifle, so we don't even get that. So we'll get rid of that. Boom, boom, boom. And then for grenade, I'm going to go with a concussion grenade. So concussion grenade, and we will just call that a sound grenade. So 2050, 1 stun blast, 10. And that is targeting. Oops. Wrong place for that. Targeting. No alternative effect. No upgrades. And then traits for that is consumable. There we go. So, yeah, that's our equipment. Took a little longer than I wanted, but yeah, works. Moving on. Hoping to get this under an hour. So, final thoughts. And part of our final thoughts is we got to give a name to this Kiki character. So, it's got to be something... I think I've already got a name, so Ovation. We're just going to call them Ovation. Just because I think it fits. They're sound-themed. I think... G.I. Joe in general needs to have kind of like a sound, a theme to whatever they did to do. I like the idea of, hey, Ovation, get over here. And he does all these sound things, and then he uses his various kind of things on his kit to give him like the Battle Commander and Plan of Action. All that stuff is done from him playing different music to help out his people. So that's the character themselves. Overall, I think it's a cool character. Oh, we forgot to do this. So toughness is 1, 0, 0 to 11. This is going to be 3, 0, 0 to 13. This is going to be 6, 0, 0 to 16. And 6, 0, 0 to 16. So not a heavily... not a heavily combat-oriented character, which is not something I do a lot, but definitely useful in a lot of other situations. Especially like psychology. There's so many situations where you can go, well, would my psychology help me out here? because psychology defines so much of what we do and how we act and other things like that. So, yeah. Overall, though, Ovation, I think is kind of a cool character. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Otherwise, that is going to be all for me today. As always, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to turn notifications on. All those other things are super, super important. In the comments down below, what is your favorite kind of music? Any kind of music. Could be pop music, could be, a random song, anything like that. Just let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it's all for me today. I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.